I wanted to share a solution to a very stressful problem. During a power outage, I wanted to heat my house with my portable generator. I was connecting my furnace to my portable RV generator, and while it initially appeared to be working, the system was not blowing heat. Turns out my propane furnace could not light due to the power. Specifically, the furnace was displaying an E7 error code on the furnace unit. According to the manual, that code was for igniter fault or improper grounding. The solution was actually quite simple, and just to make a jumper plug that connects the ground to the neutral. So I wanted to share a little disclaimer here. I want to be really clear that I'm not an electrician and I have no electrical background. I'm just an IT nerd and a homeowner who likes to tinker to get things to work, hopefully. This video is just a homeowner sharing their experiences on how he saved his pipes from freezing during a cold winter storm that took out power for 2 full days. I was without heat for about 18 hours, and our home's temperature dropped from 72 degrees down to 49 degrees before I finally got the HVAC system working. I was really stressed out and worried that my pipes were going to freeze if I didn't get this fixed, as it was 5 degrees outside and extremely windy. I didn't want to rely on the power company, so I went to Google and to Home Depot to solve this problem. Hopefully this video helps someone else and saves them from hours of stressing about potentially frozen and broken water pipes in your home. So let's talk about the problem. Essentially what happens is that many RV generators are what's called floating neutral generators, where the ground and the neutral never connect. In a traditional home panel, the ground and the neutral typically connect to the same location back at the main panel, but that's not the case in these generators. So apparently many gas furnaces don't like this type of power, so you need to convert your generator from a floating neutral to a bonded neutral, and this process is actually extremely easy. Well, there's many ways to do this, but I liked this particular way as it was simple and easy to switch back and forth between a floated neutral and a bonded neutral. Essentially, you just have to make a male plug at Home Depot, or you just buy a male plug at Home Depot, and then jumper the neutral and the ground. Then when you want your generator to be a bonded neutral, you just plug it in to one of the plugs, this bonded neutral plug into one of the plugs of your generator. To undo it, you just unplug it. Let's talk about the solution. So even though your power's out, I would strongly encourage you to flip the main power breaker to the off position, just in case power comes back onto the house when you're not expecting it. I probably won't be doing this next time. I need to use a generator, as I did lots of testing to ensure that my furnace circuit is completely isolated. The risk here is you don't want any chance of having the generator backfeeding the power to the city. If the city has power and your generator is sending power, it could be disastrous, extremely dangerous. So just turn off your main breaker. If you're watching this video, you're probably unsure, so again, just definitely turn off that main breaker. So then I walked out my RV generator 20 feet from the house and placed it on a steady flat ground. I have a 20 amp circuit on my generator, so I'm basing this whole solution on 20 amp wiring and expecting up to 2,000 watts of power. So I have a 25-foot extension cord, which is a 12-gauge cord, so I hook that up from my generator, and the other end goes into a 10-foot extension cord that's already routed from the outside of my house to the inside of the house. So you can see here it's just a plug that's hanging out of the wall of my the exterior wall of my house. Nothing's plugged into the house just yet. And then this next step is about grounding is really optional. There seems to be lots of contradicting information on grounding a bonded neutral generator, but this is the solution that I landed upon, which was to go ahead and ground my generator to the grounding rod when it's in this configuration. Definitely encourage you to do your own research and let me know in the comments if what you think. If you have access to a certified electrician, I would ask them what's the best way for your particular configuration at your house. So for what I did is I connected a wire from my nearby grounding rod outside my house to the floating neutral post that you see here on my generator to make it ground. On my furnace inside the house, I flipped that switch to off. That way I could use that switch when I'm finally ready to power on the furnace, but I'm not ready to do that yet. So The next is, hopefully your furnace has a regular outlet plug, but mine didn't. Mine was all just hardwired into the house. So what I did is I traced the wires from the furnace and then cut it and to turn it into a male plug. Then I installed this outlet on the wall so I could plug it in the furnace back into house power. So this is how it normally runs, how it's running right now. If you're ready to move over to generator power, then go ahead and move that plug from the furnace, from the regular house power, over to the extension cord. As you can see, I created a little outlet on the wall that I labeled generator power. Not sure if this is allowed as to code, but it's not sharing anything with the house. It's not sharing a ground, it's not sharing a neutral, it's literally just an extension cord that looks like an outlet. Then you can move your hot water plug as well, or any other plugs that you plan to move over. And you should be all set and have hot water and heat. If you look inside the little peephole, you can read the display. On my furnace, instead of showing the E7 error code, now that I got everything hooked up with a bonded neutral configuration, it blinks something like H for heat, A for airflow, and 50 for 50%. Every 20 minutes or so, it'll increment until it reaches 100%, which is basically how it's displaying now. But it basically took an hour before, a little hour, maybe an hour, 10 minutes before it was finally blowing to 100%, and the house started warming up. Crisis averted. Hopefully this helps someone else in a storm when they're in desperate need for heat, and it can save themselves the 18 hours of stress doing the research that I went through, which is hopefully in the information that I just shared with you. Good luck.